Welcome, everyone, back to the latest episode of Played Up Podcast. This is going to be another special edition where we cover the events of BPAC, but everything else that happened at at BPAC. We've got the Super Ultimate Punch Turbo fighting tournament that happened. We also had the two-headed monster competition that was held at Netherworld. And John, so you set that one up as well, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And you also did the fighting games? You orchestrated those? Yeah.
All the arcade comps at BPAC that weren't Kong off, I ran those and sort of came up with them and the format, picked the games, curated everything.
Beautiful. But you go a bit glitchy.
Yeah, just waiting for you to catch up for a sec there, John. We lost you for a sec, but I think you're back. Maybe.
Back now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you're back. All right, and then we'll roll into a big chat about the Australian Arcade Championships held on the last 3 days of the BPAC event. Yeah, 24th.
Yep.
Sorry, wait, 25th, 6th. No, wait.
23rd, 24th, 25th.
25th. That's it. All right. Well, I guess we'll get some introductions underway. We have Dennis back with us again.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having us again. Great to be on the team.
Yeah, how's your living the lockdown life? We're currently just got in lockdown.
So far, so good. I've been trying to organise everything downstairs, and while I was a couple of minutes tardy to our recording tonight, so apologies for that, everyone. It's getting everything back from BPAC and sort of trying to throw everything back in again. I was just telling Barrow that when we were all connecting up this afternoon. So yeah.
Nice. And John, welcome back again.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Mate.
No worries. And we also have Peter High as well. How are you, mate?
Pete.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me back, Mike.
No worries, man. No worries. And for the Played Up Podcast, first time round, we have Andrew Barrow, otherwise known as Barrow.
Yeah, first time. Thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be here.
It's awesome to have you here, man. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, tuning in all the way from New Zealand there.
Yeah, it's a bit later over here, but
yeah, fair enough. Okay. Yeah. All right, I guess we'll jump straight into it. So BPAC 2021, we all were all there. We all went to most of the events and competed in most of the events, and had a bloody awesome time. Jump in if you need to, John. But yeah, so BPAC is the Brisbane Pinball and Arcade Collective. It's a 10-day event this time around. It's split across pinball machines for all the pinball people. And I think we had, how many arcade machines were there, John?
There were at least 30 arcade machines there, not including the Kong machines.
Yeah. All right, and 30 arcade machines. And the pinballs outnumbered the arcades by quite a bit, but all of us spent most of our time in the arcade side of things.
We're all hanging out in the middle with the pinballs to the left and right of us as well. Yeah.
That's it. All right. So I guess we'll kick off with one of the earlier comps happened during the week, which was Super Ultimate Punch Turbo. There's a selection of games selected by Mr. Tannahill. And what do we have? We had Virtua Fighter. We had Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Mortal Kombat 2.
We had Barrow as well.
Oh, that's right. Barrow, Mark of the Wolves.
Tekken Tag Tournament and
Tekken Tag
Showdown 2.
That's it.
And Soul Calibur.
And Soul Calibur.
And Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nearly forgot about that one. That was a pretty awesome comp. It was a double elimination knockout competition. I got knocked out in my second or third round, I think. Shane Tawaka took me out. I came up against him twice, and he knocked me out both times. How did you guys all go? Dennis, start with you.
So I managed to make it through first round, but then I got eliminated in second round, and I wish I could remember who actually beat me, but I was happy to even win a couple of rounds against some pretty fierce competition, man. Like the fighting game community, everybody knows their stuff pretty well, and so I really felt like I fluked my way in because we were playing Virtua Fighter for my first game, and I picked a random character because I've never played Virtua Fighter before, but really enjoyed it, and I also managed to win my way through and win and play through to the second game, which I think for us was Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Yeah, so I know enough on Ken there to be able to at least do half a gauge on. So I still can't Dragon Punch, by the way. So so I just sort of fumbled around and I managed to come out with a win, but not in the second round. After that, I bombed out, but I was pretty happy with that. So yeah, it was cool.
Nice work. And John, how did you go?
Yeah, I was actually quite happy with my run. This round I got paired against Buzz. So for those of you who know, Buzz is quite good across a fair few fighting games. He's one of the few other players I knew that knew a bit about Virtua Fighter. So coming up against him, that was our first game. I thought it could go either way, but managed to get the win against Buzz. So I was pretty happy with that. And I think my next round I played against Stephen Holmes, the owner of One Up Arcade. I was really concerned about that.
Wow.
Because every time I played him on Virtua Fighter 2, he's just smashed me. I think I've gotten one round. It's the best I've ever done against him on Virtua Fighter 2. But luckily, he wasn't quite familiar with Virtua Fighter Remix. So I was able to get him on that one. And then I think I might have then, after that, gone on to Mortal Kombat, where everyone beat me on Mortal Kombat. And then I think I got him on Soul Calibur after that. So I was quite chuffed with beating Stephen. And I just kept having a good run. I think I then came against some really good player and, knocked me out of the winners bracket, a little bit, bit of a tough loss there. And then the top of the losers bracket, managed to beat Shane Tawaka to go up against the same guy who knocked me out or beat me. I would have had to beat him twice to win the comp. It just wasn't on the cards, but it was a really good final matchup, I thought, Peter. I sort of gave you a bit of a run for your money on the 3D games, but the 2D ones just wasn't a match for you.
He just let you, man. That's all.
It's when he went for a random select on Mortal Kombat 2 that I knew I was in trouble.
Cheeky bastard. No, well, just saying that, John, you came up against Stephen Holmes. I actually also did as well. So between me and you, we knocked him out because I won one round during Ultimate Punch, and it was against Stephen. And I was shitting my pants because
wow,
he owns One Up Arcade. And I just assumed he knew the fighters a lot better than me.
Yeah, Steve knows his stuff pretty well, man. And there's a reason that he likes to run the fighting comps at One Up and why there's so many caps there that are fighting games, because it's a real favourite of his. So, definitely a good win for you guys to come up against, especially against Steve, because, man, he's a unit. So
yeah.
It's funny you say that, because I think, obviously everyone who knows him knows that he loves his fighting games, but I think he's more of a score player, because he was telling me that even though he's run quite a few fighting game comps over the years, this one was actually the first that he's ever competed in.
Oh, right.
Oh, whoa.
That's interesting. Yeah.
We might have caught him off guard a little bit.
Yeah, playing for score and playing against head to head it's a completely different kettle of fish, man. Like I never considered that. So maybe that's the magic formula for you guys to come up with that. That's cool. Well done. It's good.
And all right, and then Barry, you were in Ultimate Punch, weren't you? You had a crack.
I was there. I wasn't there for very long though.
All right.
People
one
know
comp
me.
Barry's bad at.
I'm not really known for those sort of games, but I competed. Yeah. I did beat one. I think he was a fighting game guy. I'm not too sure. I hadn't seen him before. I beat him on Street Fighter 2 using E Honda.
Yeah.
So I don't think he was very happy with that.
Wow.
But he murdered me in the other games, and I think I played you, Mike. Did I?
Possibly.
No.
I think we
I
did.
playing you in Tekken Tag, perhaps.
Yeah. And Samurai Samurai Showdown as well?
Yeah.
Can you bring
I
up the
think so.
draw, Mike, and see maybe who we had? And
But
I'd like to see it on match play.
Those games are not my specialty at all. There's too many buttons. I can't get my head around it. So
Fair enough.
I'm a left, right, shoot sort of person. But
Me too, man.
It was fun either way. Yeah.
Yeah, three buttons is about as complicated as I get to Barrow. So
3 and 4 directions. 3 buttons plus 4 directions.
Is that why you like Virtua Fighter, Dennis?
Yeah, man.
Buttons.
Yeah. It's like
3 buttons.
it's right in my wheelhouse, man. Yeah.
All right.
That and Double Dragon. Yeah.
And our king of the fighters, Mr. Peter High. How are your games? You must have had a pretty good run to come out on top.
Yeah, I did. I had a pretty good run. I don't think I dropped any of the games to drop me down to the elimination bracket. I did drop a few, games here and there, and struggled with a lot of the 3D fighters.
Yeah.
I don't really take too well to those. Definitely prefer my 2D ones.
Yeah.
And John had me pretty close in that final round.
Yeah.
Lucky I got over him with the 2Ds. We had to finish off with the 3D. Maybe that's a different result.
Yeah. Was there any standout moments for anyone, like versing someone, or like for me, it was like probably standout was having to go a Virtua Fighter for the first time and listening to the hilarious punching sound effects. They're like super cheesy, like 90s TV punches, and that the health bars disappear in that game so quickly. Like every punch seems to like take a lot of health off.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was lucky with that. That worked for me instead of against me.
Yeah. So button mashing sort of did help a little bit with a quick little punch combo, and like half the health bar's gone if you get in before then hitting the buttons. Yeah.
That's generally my strat playing those fighting games. Just mash as many buttons as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And sometimes it pays off, But
yeah.
But just quickly, Peter, are they all fighting game tournament trophies behind you, or video game trophies?
They're all the fighting game ones.
What a collection!
I've got four trophies total now, I think.
Oh, epic! Well done.
Very impressive, mate. It's cool. You need a trophy cabinet now.
Oh, I know.
Nice. All right, and Pete. I know you've came on the podcast for our fighting games podcast. Was it last year? That was a fair while ago. We did delve into your history with fighting games. So this episode was sort of wanted because you did compete in AAC in the arcade championships, and you came second overall, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, look, I was playing a lot of platform video games back when before the fighting games came out. So
yeah, that's it. So what were like your first consoles, or like the early games you got into, apart from fighting games, across the consoles and arcades as well, because you did hit the arcades as well?
Yeah, look, I played a lot in the actual arcades, but I think the first console I did have was an old Atari.
Ah, nice.
And I think the first game I did play with it was a game called Pitfall.
Yeah. It's one of Atari's most popular, most famous games.
Yeah, look, I had spent many hours on that game. I can't remember playing much else other than that game, actually.
Fair enough.
But yeah, my first console, and I did have, a Sega Master System, the Sega Master System 2.
Yep.
And then moved on to the Sega Mega Drive 2.
Nice. What sort of games were you sort of gravitating towards on those systems? Were they more arcadey style games, or like?
A lot of the platform games. You play, Sonic the Hedgehog. All the Alex kids.
Yeah.
You have a few beat 'em up games in there as well.
Were you allowed to play Altered Beast, Peter, or did your parents take away your card as well?
No, well, I never played that on the actual console. I played that in the arcade back in the day, and luckily it came up during BPAC because I play off memory. And
for everyone listening at home, sorry, Pete, it was last time we were talking to John, we went through John's history of video gaming, and John sort of spoke of a quite similar experience, except for the fact that his Mega Drive came with Altered Beast, and he wasn't allowed to play it, so it got taken away from him.
Yeah, right.
My mum didn't like him apparently in it, so it was banned. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why that's my disadvantage.
I got half of that. Sorry, mate. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, having had old
Oh, we're losing you, John.
There's
as a kid,
He's frozen.
do with the adult. That was my disadvantage.
That was your disadvantage because you
Yeah,
couldn't
everyone
play
else
it.
is frozen for me too.
Yep. So yeah, that was the gist of that, Pete. Basically, so
Yeah.
poor old John wasn't allowed to play that game.
Yep. So yeah, John, if you want to turn your camera off, you might get better reception, better bandwidth for everything else, just the audio. Yeah. Even that was pretty broken up, whatever you said there.
You guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
You guys still hear me?
Sure
Yeah,
can.
yeah. Can hear now. So, sorry, Pete. Sorry to interrupt. So you from the Master System to the Mega Drive, and what happened after that?
Yeah. Then after that, I didn't really purchase another console myself. I was probably just bludging off my mates. So they went and bought a PlayStation 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Whereas I was still pretty much hanging out still in the arcades.
Yeah,
And then
right.
I pretty much did that all the way through high school, and then went on a bit of a hiatus for quite a long time actually, and then found out about 1UP. Took my son along there, and that was a couple of years ago now, and just getting back into the arcade scene. I thought it really just died off after the 2000s, really.
Yeah.
But good to know there's still a bit of a community out there and a following for retro arcades. So good.
Yeah. We're definitely doing our best to try and support it too. And I think the really cool thing and generous thing with folks like John and also with Jimmy and the event organisers for BPAC is that they're putting on these great events for us all to attend. And I'm very grateful for the fact that we get a chance to go in and play these games because, everyone still thinks very fondly of them, and I love coming out to hang out with everyone and play these games too. So, it's a very good thing, mate.
Yeah, no, definitely looking at learning about new titles all the time. So, I'm hanging around a lot of arcades around the place, and I thought I've seen most of them, but there's certainly new titles that pop up all the time.
You get that when you go to 1UP, definitely. There's lots of games like until a couple of months ago, I hadn't heard of a game called Karnov, and now it's a big hit in the community. Everyone talking about Karnov. Oh, that game, man. Anyway. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Hey, 1UP is always a good experience for that. Sorry, sorry, Mike. I digress, mate.
No, that's all good, all good. So yeah, so Pete, and then you sort of ended up in the arcades that are around now, eh? That's awesome.
Yep. And I got to meet a whole lot of new people and friends, and familiar faces whenever we turn up to these sort of tournaments.
That's it.
It's been great. And, attended my first BPAC this year, and had a really good time.
Oh, good stuff, man. A big win.
That's really good, Pete. So, being your first BPAC, and if it's okay to jump in just quickly, Mike. What were your impressions of BPAC as an event overall? What were your thoughts, mate?
Look, I think it was quite good. You had quite a large range of games, or machines and different type of games that made it a bit more even. I think for everyone, everyone's going to have their strengths and weaknesses, and the type of games they play. And the list of games was put out early, so you could look up what they were, and then try and focus on some that you played before, or that you generally tend to favour the type of games.
How did you find that mix personally, Pete? Were there roughly was it roughly half of the games you were familiar with, or was there only a handful that you sort of knew? Because obviously there were some fighters because of the Ultimate Punch tournament and those cabs, but sort of outside of that, were any games were the majority unfamiliar?
Oh, look, I think probably about half of them are probably not really familiar with. And look, probably about quarter I would have played myself, and then the other quarter I would have seen, but not really.
But never played. Yeah.
Never really taken to them.
Yeah.
It's quite surprisingly, the following that Donkey Kong has, and
yeah,
a bit of a lineup of all these machines when I got there. It's like, wow.
Yeah. It's amazing when you see them all in a lineup, isn't it? That you can see all these classic arcade cabs, and so I found it quite interesting that, and the reason I was interested in your perspective with further games like Marble Madness and Jungle King and Robotron, which I've never actually played, never actually had a chance to play before outside of, I think I've got it on like Xbox as one of the classics collection or something. So I've never played it on a cab before. And it was pretty cool to be able to go and do that. So yeah, a lot of new games for me to play out there, and I thought that playing at 1UP that I'd had exposure to quite a different variety. So it was cool to see some classics, man. It was fantastic.
Yeah, definitely good to see classics like Frogger and Tetris was there.
Sega, even if it was Sega Tetris, it's still something, I guess. For old Sega Tetris gets a hard time, mainly because of me, because it was my PCB. So it was like, so yeah. But I won't steal John's thunder with that, with sourcing of all the stuff if we cover that off later. So.
Yeah, I found that version of Tetris to be particularly harsh on the RNG. Like it would never give you the blocks you really even needed just to get the 2 or 3 lines done. Yeah. It would like really make you hang on for a long time.
It'd give you like 6 or 7 blocks of the same block in a row. And you're like, I don't want this anymore. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
It was nasty.
Nice. So yeah, all right. Well, leading after the Ultimate Punch competition, we had, John, let us know about the two-headed monster comp and how that went down.
Yeah. So the two-headed monster comp happened on the Monday during BPAC. So after the Kong off, it was just sort of a bit of a small, friendly competition at Netherworld, but it's a new format that we'd never tried before. So it's a split control panel format. It was sort of derived off of a similar pinball format, where in pinball, you have a team of 2 and each person controls 1 flipper button. So I decided to adapt this and pick a series of arcade games. And if a game had a stick and buttons, let's say, then one player would control the stick and the other person would control the buttons. We had some really good games in there. Some games is sort of a little bit passive, like we had Galaga and Space Invaders, where you didn't really need to communicate, and Ghosts and Goblins, where you didn't really need to communicate too much of your team member. Like you just had one person would steer the ship where it needed to go, and the other person would just be firing whenever there was an enemy above them. But some really good games that create some really fun and exciting matches, where we fight a 2 hiding. So one person there is trying to do their dragon punch motions while yelling at their other teammate, just punch. And
man, wow.
We also had NBA Jam. That was another really exciting one. And we had Ice Cold Beer, where each person controlled one of the sticks. That one was challenging.
Oh, man. Wow.
Tron was a good one. So for those that don't know, Tron, one player has a flight control joystick with a trigger button, and they control movement and shooting, and the other player would have the dial, just a spinner, which would then aim at the direction which you shoot. So that was quite a good one as well.
Oh, awesome.
But the best one, I reckon, was Daytona. So for Daytona, we had one person driving and the other person handling all the gear shifts.
Yeah, man. Wow.
Oh, dude.
It was a pretty fun comp. I mean, is it for a friendly competition? It was just absolutely outstanding, especially playing NBA Jam because you're versing the other team.
Did it get?
So you're trying to control one player, like the 2 of you, and you're versing the two others that are controlling another player. It was just chaos.
Awesome.
Yeah, would have been chaotic. Well,
Exactly.
like,
yeah, but it was a lot of fun. It's not serious, but competitive, friendly comp. It was awesome.
Brilliant.
Excellent. What were the time limits for the like the Gallagher or Street Fighter, or sorry, not Street Fighter, Gallagher and Space Invaders, and or the ones that you're not versing someone? John, what was the time limit?
I think we set a time limit of 10 minutes, but it wasn't really relevant for anything except for Ghosts and Goblins.
Right.
Yeah, I think most of the games, even if some of the games where you might be able to last 10 minutes, your opponents probably couldn't. So it really make. But Ghosts and Goblins, that was probably the most broken one we found. What was that, Barrow?
I think we lasted 10 minutes on Tron, maybe, or maybe I have that wrong. But Ghosts and Goblins definitely. Unfortunately, me and Johnny didn't get to play Gallagher, but
oh damn,
that was a shame. I was hoping to get a lucky roll on that one. It didn't happen.
It's like me in the fighting comp, Sparrow. I just wanted to play Mortal Kombat 2, and every single game I just didn't manage to get it.
It's always the way.
That's the one I would have had a chance on, even against, like, maybe even possibly against Peter, or But I just wanted to play it. Yeah, awesome, good stuff. So who were the winners, John? Who took out the?
So Shane and Kibby were the winners. Shane Saul and Mike Kibby. Then we had second place was myself and Tommy Josie, and third place was Barra and Johnny Bond. And then in fourth place, out of the four teams that we had Ben Piercy and Stephen Holmes. Not Stephen Holmes, Stephen Riding.
Stephen Riding. Oh, excellent. The Ben Piercy that came fourth overall in the Aussie Arcade Champs, eh?
Yeah.
Bit of a dark horse. Yeah. All right.
John, you won second place in all those comps then.
Oh,
yeah. I'm the first loser. I've second a lot that week.
Someone's got to.
Yeah, I think the only comp that I won was Dennis and I. We won the 2-player Australian Arcade Championship division.
Yep. We went back to back
Saturday night. Retaining our title from 2 years ago. So back-to-back wins in that comp. But apart from that, a lot of second places.
It's a good effort, mate. It's much better than what I did during the week, anyway.
Yeah, so that sounded like it was a pretty interesting little event for like a little mini comp held in the middle of BPAC. It's a shame I couldn't get to it. It sounded really awesome, but hopefully next time, and hopefully it's not so long between drinks for the next one either.
Yeah. All right then, John. Sorry.
I was just going to say, it seems that everyone seemed to really enjoy it, so it's definitely a format we're going to do again. Might even do it, a couple of times at Netherworld. Speak to Jimmy. I think it's just quite a fun format. Might even be good to do it as part of an arcade club one weekend or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see that for sure. All right, John. With the not only setting up the fighting game comps, the two-headed monster comp, you're also the mastermind behind the Australian Arcade Championships and organising all the machines, all the people to get machines to you, to BPAC, to get set up, have them running. Tell us a little bit about what was involved.
So basically the timeline goes like pretty early in the year, actually. Starting to put together a bit of a list of what games I'd like. Basically, I had a list going for last year, but after that event was scrapped, most of that list had to go out the window as well. Just a lot of changes in the climate of which arcades are open. Like some arcades like Pincadia, they've sort of shifted their focus away from the video game arcade side of things. So there are a few changes there, a few cabs that were originally going to get from them, which we ended up not. And there's originally thinking of having a middle of the week event there, which we ended up not having, and instead chose to go to Spacies for a day, which is a new arcade that's opened once again in that last 12 months. So as far as the games sort of go, it's pretty daunting when you sit down and you go, I've got to come up with a list of 25 games for this competition. And big thing is try to create a balance because games from the 80s and games from the 90s or 2000s are just so vastly different and require such a vast different set of skill sets that, if you get that balance even slightly wrong, it can just mean that, the entire competition will be one-sided. So what I did this year is I sort of split it into 3 groups. So there's 2 fairly equal groups. So I wanted to have, I can't remember what the exact numbers were now, but there are 2 groups. The main ones were 80s games, like early 80s, and 90s to onwards. And so tried to have an even number of those 2. And then in the middle had a slightly lesser number of games from the late 80s, because I sort of think that there's 3 distinct groups. You got your early 80s games, your sort of golden age, as you might call them. You can all easily group those games into there. And then you've got your 90s games, which are, also quite easily identifiable. You've got your beat 'em ups, your fighters, your shoot 'em ups, and then later your 3D games, your driving games, your shooting games. All of that sort of falls into that bracket. But games from the mid to late 80s sort of don't quite really fit into either. So you've got games like Double Dragon, which is sort of one of the earliest beat 'em up games, but it's not really, it's more advanced than those early 80s games, but it's not polished enough to the level of those 90s games.
Sits in the middle.
It sort of falls into that category. Yeah. And so, a couple of other games that, Altered Beast is another one. It's not really, it's not really a beat 'em up. It's more of a platformer with beat 'em up elements, but it's not polished enough to be a 90s game, but it's much more advanced than those early 80s games. So I think it's important to give them a decent amount of representation without taking away from one of those 2 other groups. I think we've got the balance of sort of errors of games pretty good this year. And so then after that, it's a case of then doing the same process, but this time making sure that there's an equal number of games from various genres. So you've got your cage shooters, which is mainly your early 80s sort of shooting games where the screen doesn't really scroll. You're within the confines of the screen. Usually you can only move left to right. You can't move up and down. And so games like Galaxian and Lunar Rescue sort of fit into that category. And then you've got your platform games, Frogger, Donkey Kong, Qubit. And then you had your puzzle games, or some of your wild cards like Marble Madness and Tetris. And you had your shoot 'em up, so you had Zero Wing, Shenryu. You had your fighting games, Garou, Street Fighter. You had your beat 'em ups, Double Dragon, King of the Dragons. We actually this year for the first time we were able to include some driving games. So I was very excited to get an original Hang On Cab from One Up and Crazy Taxi from Netherworld. And we also had a shooting a light gun game. We had Virtua Cop 2. So I was very keen to include some of these games that had really unique control schemes, like Marble Madness and the trackball. Another cage shooter, but it has the flight stick control as well. So
even
I was quite excited to get
even Robotron, John, with 2 sticks, which is like a bit sort of a foreign concept for me playing like that, and really fun to play, by the way.
Yeah, so it's basically then, and this is all in the wish list stage, because you can come up with all these fantastic ideas for games and genres and get your balance perfect. But then you have the big question of, where am I supposed to get all of these? You can't just walk down to your local Arcades R Us and I'll order a hang-on cabinet.
I'll buy all Arcade 1-Up cabs and put them in them.
I see these great bargains for these 60-in-1 cocktail tables.
Yeah.
They look like they'll be a good fit.
Yeah.
So for for a comp like this, the goal is to be able to showcase as many original cabs as possible. But once again, try and put together 25 games. Compromises always have to be made. So we had a few games would be in generic cabs. Some games would be in cabs with other artwork.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, for example, Marble Madness, our trackball game, was in a centipede cab. And so you got to make compromise. And the community is always quite understanding with all of this. They know that it's particularly some machines were just never seen in Australia. Like Marble Madness was very, very uncommon in Australia, but centipede was a bit more common. And so try and get these machines. Sometimes I think only a handful of games were running on multi-boards, but the vast majority were running on real PCBs and in original cabinets. And it came down to got a few arcades in the area which were more than happy to supply cabinets. So Netherworld and two of their main tech/suppliers of machines, David James of Dave's Arcade and Hugh, they were able to supply the vast majority of the classic games. So your Frogger, Cubit, Marble Madness, Jungle King, all of those games was from Netherworld and Dave and Hugh. Hugh also supplied a couple of the Street Fighter cabinets and the Virtua Fighter cabinet, and Netherworld supplied Crazy Taxi. One Up, they were kind enough. They sponsored the Australian Arcade Championships, and they're also kind enough to lend us, I think, 5 cabinets for the champs, which is really good because that for me is my favorite moment of planning it. That's when I'm the kid in the candy store, and I go to One Up, and I had a meeting with Steve, and I just said, all right, how many cabinets can I get? He said 5, and I went, all right, I've got a long list of games I'd love to get. You just tell me yes or no. And luckily, they're all yeses. I was quite expecting him to say no on Hang On, but he said, yep, you can have Hang On for the week. So I was stoked to get Hang On, stoked to get Altered Beast. The Altered Beast cabinet is an original American cabinet, and it looks amazing. Plays quite nice as well. The sticks move fantastically. What else did I get from Stephen? I got Virtua Fighter for the Ultimate Punch comp from One Up. We got the 2 shoot 'em ups, Zero Wing and Shienryu from One Up as well. So really excited about being able to get those games, particularly because One Up has an amazing collection of obscure games that not a lot of people have heard about. And that's another thing I like to do in the comp. I like to have a mix of iconic games that are instantly recognizable, that everyone knows and loves, but also include games that people may not have ever heard of before, and they might discover they really like them. I had a few people come up to me throughout the week saying that they discovered Lunar Rescue for the first time and really enjoyed it, or they discovered Jungle King for the first time and really enjoyed it, or Dodon Park.
Dodon, actually, John, I was about to say, that game is addictive as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what a fun thing.
Man.
So the majority of the cabinets came from One Up and Netherworld, and then after that, sort of looked to the community, see who had cabinets, who was happy to lend them for a week, and some people might have only had PCBs, in which case we could supply the cabinet from someone like Netherworld and put the PCB in there. So Dennis, I was quite thankful to you to let me use your beautiful Sega Naomi cab, which we put a Neo Geo in and had that running Garou Mark the Wolves for Ultimate Punch and the Australian Arcade Champs. You also supplied our wonderful Sega Tetris board, which everyone loved so very much.
Including me.
Yeah.
It came back though, because it's going to be my System 16B multi at one point. So I will save the ROMs and everything, but yeah, it's gonna be my donor for that. So it'll go to good use.
Yeah. We also had coming from posted all the way up from Sydney. We had the Soul Calibur board sent up from Ben Banasek of the Game Centre in Relon. So that was really grateful for that. That was a game that I really wanted to showcase in the fighting game comp, as it's a game that a lot of people are familiar with, or at least familiar with the sequels, but not many people have actually played the original arcade version, which is slightly different than the Dreamcast version and other ports. So it was exciting to have that in. And the other one was, Dodonpachi, which we already mentioned. That was on a PGM motherboard and a repro cart, kindly donated for the comp by Tim of IGSPGM.com.
Yes.
He has a wonderful database on all things to do with the PGM arcade system, and he does restore original motherboards and sell them, and also he can put together these repro carts of the really hard to find cave shoot 'em ups, of which Dodonpachi Diojo is one of them. So that was exciting to have.
It was beautiful to see that game in action. I've never seen it in person before.
Yeah, I've never played DDP DOJ. Because how's the second? Because it's Dodonpachi, but is it Dioju that is the second part of the name? Doesn't that mean like sequel or something like that? I'm not too familiar with the series, so I'm not sure. But I think it was like the Black Edition or something we had, and yeah, it was crazy hard. I think the best score we got, wasn't it you, Mike, that managed to top that?
No, it was John. John picked
was it really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I snuck in another one. Hey.
Well, by technicality, I also had never played Dodonpachi Diojo before the comp. And some people might say that's pretty irresponsible, putting in a game into a comp that you've never actually played before.
If it's got a good rap, mate. Yeah, got to go for it.
What if the score disappears as soon as you lose all your lives and you don't know about it?
Yeah.
That's just a detail. Yeah. Who cares about score?
We found it. Luckily, Dennis discovered a pretty elegant solution to that problem.
Yeah, we worked out a system, mate. It was all good.
That's why I got you guys. You guys work out the finer details. I just cover the broad strokes of running the tournament.
You just think that game. Yeah, I want that game, and yeah, the rest of it's just details, man.
Yeah, but yeah. So I think I had the highest score during the official comp, which is what we're tracking the scores for the high score medals at the end. I think I got 12 million, but earlier that morning when we were still just practicing in warm up, I saw Mike get a 14 million point game. So Mike's the unofficial guy.
Damn.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Shit. As soon as I saw I didn't have the medal after the end of qualifying, I'm like, I don't know. That's fine. Just keep moving on.
Yeah, for those listening at home, when you play that game, if you don't make it to the high score screen, if your score isn't high enough, and a lot of ours weren't because the game is really hard, that the score disappears off the screen immediately after you die, and so we came up with the idea of just recording the run. But problem was that it was on an LCD and it was inset into the cab a little bit, and there was a bit of glare. You couldn't actually see it, so we chucked a little double-sided tape up the top left of the cab that was out of the field of view of the player, so you could record just the score with the camera on your phone, and so you could leave your camera sitting there and play. And it was only a couple of minutes worth of filming because the run doesn't take long, and that was sort of enough to be able to capture the final score because you could sort of scan back and see what your last score was before the screen changed. So yeah, fun little system, and it got us through, I think. So
yeah. So okay, and that's the thing for anyone that is vaguely into the shoot 'em up scene will have probably heard of the Dodonpachi series and know it as being one of the most notoriously difficult shoot 'em ups of all time. And that's why I was really excited to have it in the comp, just to have a real bullet hell shooter
have a ball buster for everyone to play.
Blooded with bullets. Yeah.
Had you seen it? Yeah. Had you seen it before, Pete or Barrow? Had you seen that game or played anything like that before?
No, I never heard of it.
Oh shit!
Which one was that? DDP.
Yeah.
Really impressed by the graphics, though.
Yeah, I've played the original, but they're fun shmups, but I'm no good at them.
Oh no,
Yeah.
man, it's pure survival mode when I'm playing them too, Barrow. I'd need a lot more time invested in them than
They have reasonably complicated scoring systems as well, which I'm not a huge fan of, like with the chaining and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm more of just a
Yeah.
dodge and shoot, and don't worry about points too much. Sort of guy.
Yeah, don't die strat.
The don't die strat, that's the one.
You heard it first, people. Yeah. That's really cool, John. Hearing about all the different sources of just what it takes to take all of these resources and to be able to pull them all together to be able to make an event based on what you've got around you makes you quite a resourceful man, honestly, mate, to be able to go and do that. And I know it was appreciated because, even like we're based on even Pete's experiences being his first BPAC and going to AAC for the first time, it was well received, and I found the mix of games to be quite good as well, mate. It just for what it was worth, it seemed like there was something for everybody there, and it was really well done, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, John.
Yeah, that's sort of the idea is to try and provide a game or two for everyone that everyone is familiar with, and then there's the opportunity for you to sort of explore other games that you're not quite so familiar with. So I think from that point of view, I count this year as a real success. And I've already got a few ideas in the works for next year. Dave James of Netherworld, he's already suggested a few cabinets that he's going to have ready in 12 months' time that he's going to put in the games with. So
that's great.
That'll be exciting.
Good old Dave. That's great.
Any hints on what may be coming up next year, John, or is it all under wraps and still?
It's probably all still up in the air
in the pipeline
anyway.
And sorry, my lips are sealed on that one.
Oh, no firsts here for that. Well, I'll have to get you back on in a few months then, and we'll keep trying to pry it out of you. There we go.
And just for everyone listening at home as well, there was 2 games that weren't mentioned during the whole chat just then. Ms. Pac-Man was there as well, and Metal Slug 5. Did you mention that, John? I'm not sure. You did? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No.
Oh,
we had an original Ms. Pac-Man cabinet, and we had a Metal Slug 5 cartridge provided by Doivid, who's a local pinball and arcade player.
Yeah.
Oh, and the last one, X-Men as well. That didn't get mentioned. X-Men, the arcade, 4-player arcade game.
Yes, also known as Barrow's Bane.
Yeah, I had to play that twice during finals.
Whoa! They knew your weaknesses, Barrow.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, it's a bit of a clunky game, sort of, wasn't it? It's an early Konami fighter, obviously, sort of side-scrolling beat 'em up. But I felt like other sort of similar games in that vein, like Turtles and Simpsons, felt a little bit more refined, whereas X-Men seemed kind of a bit more raw. And maybe someone can correct me or confirm this, but that version that we were looking at, that's the same game that there's the 6-player version available, isn't there?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Imagine that was 6 players. Man, it's busy with 2. That's crazy.
Well, the 6-player version actually used 2 CRTs reflected against a mirror to create one sort of basically a 16:9 screen. So a bit more spread out, a bigger field of view. And I suspect maybe that's what might be one of the reasons why the game feels a bit crammed when playing on the 4-player cab, is that it might have been designed for the 6-player deluxe cab.
Of course,
and then sort of compressed down. I don't know.
That's
I'm
possible,
not too
man.
familiar with it, but the theory,
Steve from One Up, if you're listening, it'd be great to see a 6-player X-Men at some point. But no, probably not. Imagine how hard they'd be to find. Man, they're probably like an endangered species even in the States. But yeah, that's really cool.
It must be the only game of its kind to have 6 players. Is there any other games you know?
I can't think of any off the top of my head, no.
Wow.
Yeah, neither can I.
Nothing.
All right. Well, thanks for the that was an awesome roundup, John. It was good to get a good sort of a view in your mind of what the whole thing was about and how you set it up and how it run. I know when I first walked in, I saw all the cabs lined up, all running. It just blew my mind. I was just in awe. And because I didn't really look into many of the games leading up to AAC, but when I got in there, I didn't really focus on the list either. I sort of looked at it once or twice. And walking and seeing all these different games I'd never played before, it was awesome because I just got to go in and have a go and try them out and see what they're about.
Absolutely.
It was, definitely well done, John. That was insane. Not only AAC, but the other ones as well, the other comps too. But just seeing them all there lined up side by side, it was beautiful.
Yeah, your hard work and it is appreciated, mate. It's I know even giving you a hand to help with a couple of things across AAC weekend, just what sort of commitment it is to run an event like that, and that was just me sort of popping my head in from here and there and helping set up video capture and a couple of things, and so that's not even running the central event. So, mate, all of the work that you put in for that was fantastic. Really appreciated, by the way. So, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, guys. Dennis, you'll be much needed next year as well. I've got ambitions to have up to 8 direct feed setups going. If we can get the jammer to SCART adapters.
That'd be wild though. You'd almost need a Netherworld 2 Twitch to try and capture everything, because that would be there'd be a lot going on.
Well, not at the same time. So talking to Jimmy the other day, obviously he also wants to do the same for Kongov, have more direct captures going.
Yeah.
And I've actually got a matrix switcher, an 8x8 switcher. So what that'll allow us to do is if we can get the required sort of parts like the jammer or the Nintendo jammer, to SCART outputs or S-video outputs, whatever we choose to use, we can have 8 cabs all outputting direct feed to the switcher, and then you can send any of those 8 inputs into any 8 outputs. So we could have 2 OSSCs running to our stream and just select which of those 8 games we want to show on those 2 OSSCs at a push of a button, meaning that on for the Kongov, for example, on the streaming desk, Phil or whoever is sitting on the streaming desk, if they want to switch to any particular 2 cabs for a match, all they have to do is press a button on the switchboard.
You just got 1 to 8, and that will align with the cab number, and boom, boom, boom.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great.
And we'll do the same thing for the AAC. We'll have 8 cabinets all outputting direct feed, and we can just switch to whichever those games we want to at a push of a button on a switchboard. So that's sort of the goal for the streaming setup next year. So it shouldn't be too hard to pull off. We'll just need to pick up a handful more of those jammer to SCART adapters, but they're not too expensive, and I'm sure Adam would even be able to design some and have them produced fairly cheaply as well.
Locally made. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Oh, that's really cool. That's a great idea.
I might go grab a beer. So it'll be a minute or two.
I'm all good. Keep going.
Back in a sec, fellas.
You're right, Mike.
Spacey's Cafe and Arcade in Toowoomba kindly sponsors the Play It Up podcast. If you are ever in or near Toowoomba, we think you're crazy if you don't give them a visit. Spacey's has loads of arcade and pinball machines, retro consoles, and even air hockey. They have an excellent selection of food and drinks for the whole family, and have some great beers on tap. Spacey's is open Wednesday through Sunday, and you can check them out on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with the awesome events they have going on there. Spacey's is located at 2 Club Lane in Toowoomba. Take a trip back to the 80s with Spacey's.
All right, let's kick it.
All righty. All right. So back with AAC. Well done, John. And Barrow, you are the Australian Arcade Champion for BPAC 2021.
Woo!
Yeah. Managed to defend the title, which is nice. It was
Congratulations!
Pretty close this year. So
well done.
So the 2 times we've had the Australian Arcade Championships, they've been won by a New Zealander.
I don't think I'll be allowed back next year. I mean, it is an awesome comp. I think one thing that was done really well this year was the cabs that were in it, like the Hang-Ons and Robotron, Marble Madness.
Yeah.
Those are the sort of cabs that I want to come and play.
Yeah.
Ones with unique controls.
Playing
that sort of
Hang-On
thing.
was really cool, man. Like,
it was so fun. I love that game. I love racing games in general, and anything you can play with original controls. It just makes it so much more special.
Yeah, I learned some tips watching you play, so it was actually pretty handy. Like,
Yeah.
So you look like you played that a lot, mate.
I've played it in MAME a little bit, but it's just not the same, you know. As I say, I just love those racing games. It didn't take too long to get
Was that your first time? Was that your first time on an original Hang-On cab?
Definitely, yeah. I've never played
cool.
any of those games on cab before.
Awesome.
So it was so good to come over and just play it. It didn't take too long. The controls were really, really nice. The brake was really sensitive on it, so you could just like flick the brake as you were going around the corner, just to bring yourself back in to the inside.
Nice. And just for everyone listening at home as well, Barrow, he plays the majority of his arcade gaming on MAME with a keyboard or a laptop, possibly.
Keyboard, yeah. So PC, but
PC.
It's sort of why I'm into the more simple games, I guess, because anything you can just pick up and play with a keyboard is only going to have a few buttons. Whereas your Street Fighters and that sort of thing, I'm never going to try and play that with a keyboard. I do have an arcade stick, but I rarely use it. I should really bust it out a bit more often, but it's just convenience, I guess.
Yeah.
With a keyboard
Whatever you're comfortable with, honestly, mate. If you can do your best with a keyboard, then use that.
Yeah, most games translate pretty well over to the original controls as well. Like especially like Gallagher, and DK is not too bad as well.
Yeah.
But it just makes it that much more special coming over and playing games like Gorf and Tron. And Marble Madness, obviously, Robotron.
I saw when we were delivering back the cabs to Netherworld just a couple of days ago with Jimmy. I saw that Tron was back on the floor at Netherworld. Yes,
it was. Awesome. Yeah, it was in the two-headed monster comp.
Fantastic!
Such a great game. I'd never played in MAME because you just can't replicate those controls very well. But
no.
So much fun on cab.
Good stuff. And just to your credit, Barrow, I think the first time we saw you translating from keyboards to arcade machines was possibly Arcade Armageddon when you came over and played Gallagher for the first time on an arcade machine.
Yeah. So I guess a bit of background for me, for arcade wise anyway, I started playing MAME in probably 2002 or 3 when I was living in Australia, coincidentally. So downloaded MAME and played for maybe 4 or 5 years. Had a bit of a break when I was sort of a teenager, and that, as you do, you know, you're too cool for that sort of thing. But can't come back to these sort of games in my early to mid 20s. And played up until 2017 when Netherworld opened, and then I come over and basically played all these cabs for the first time. I'd been playing these games on MAME for 10 to 15 years. I made the trip to Netherworld and played DK and Gallagher and Pac-Man and all that on an original for basically the first time since I'd been playing on MAME. So nice. we did play a little bit as kids though with Dad, but because he was into arcades too. I guess that's where I got it from. But
nice.
Obviously when you're younger, you don't really know what you're doing or what's going on. It just made it so much more special coming over that first time to Netherworld. So.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. So then delving further back into your past, then where did you start with video gaming? What was your sort of first games, consoles, arcades?
Our first console was the Master System, but I was pretty young when we had that. I don't really remember it. I think I was maybe 4 or 5 when we got one of those, honestly.
Yeah.
But sort of mid 97. We got an N64, and that was the one we played a lot of, and it's still my favorite console to this day.
Cool.
I don't play a lot of it. I do have one. I don't play a lot of it these days, but just that's the one that I guess I've got the most nostalgia for.
Nice.
Your Mario Karts, your NBA Hang Time, 1080 Snowboarding, Diddy Kong.
Yeah.
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye, a bit. Zelda I wasn't really into. We were sort of more of a Mario family, I guess.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, N64 definitely Love that console.
Yeah.
So yeah, played that for a few years, I guess,
Yep.
until I started playing MAME. But
Right.
I love all console gaming as well. I had a PlayStation 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
Sort of slacked on that recently. Haven't played 4 or 5, but do plan to in the future.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I love my racing games on PlayStation, Gran Turismo's, that sort of thing.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, you're speaking to Mike's heart there.
Yeah.
I love a bit of Gran Turismo.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's probably my favorite genre. Like you probably wouldn't think so, looking at what games I play, but
Yeah.
I think racing games. Yeah, I don't know. There's something special. And then when you come over and play Hang On, and when I went to the USA to Fun Spot and playing a bunch of like Super Sprint, Stocker, all those sort of games over there. There's just awesome.
And Super Sprint's a fun game. Hey?
I love those sort of games.
Simple, but it's
Sprint.
awesome.
Yeah.
The
Sprint 2.
next arcade machine I ever get will be a 3-player Super Sprint. Like that would take up a lot of room, but I don't care. I'll make the room. I just need it, man.
One of my grey old cabs, I guess, when I eventually get some arcade cabs, is Pole Position.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
They're hard to come by, expensive and that, but having an original one of those would just be epic for me, and I'd play it probably every single day.
Yeah.
So.
Good stuff, man. And speaking about N64, I think maybe Johnny afforded us some sort of little snippet in a chat group somewhere where possibly was your family featured in the N64 magazine? Or
I'm still looking for a copy of that, actually. We found a digital one, but not a physical one. So N64 magazine, issue 38, if anyone has one of those. But so back in, I want to say it was late 99, early 2000s, us as a family, we grinded the heck out of one track in 1080 snowboarding, the first track, Crystal Lake. And we got pretty good times, and we were beating the records in the N64 mags. So we sent all of our times in, with photo evidence on our, 14-inch TV that we were playing on.
Cool. Awesome.
To the magazine, and they recognize it, and they put it in the mag and stuff. And then sent us like a couple of controllers and that sort of thing too.
Cool.
So yeah, that's we're immortalized as a family in that book. So there's myself, my brother, mum and dad all got photos in this magazine.
Sweet as
from 99 2000, which is pretty crazy. But
that's wild, man. I love that.
So looking for a copy of that. But there's a pretty good 1080 speedrun community right now.
Oh wow!
Especially for that track, because it's the first track, and I guess it's the most prestigious.
Yeah.
But it turns out my mum and my brother had the world record at one stage.
Oh, nice.
During that photo.
Wow, that's awesome.
That is great.
Yeah, so pretty crazy. But if anyone listening has a copy of that mag, they can sell me. I'll definitely pay some money for it.
We'll put the call out, mate, for sure.
Sure. Was it a Australian magazine?
No, I think it was the UK-based one.
Right.
The one with the massive N64 on the front cover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You guys would have seen that, I presume.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I was long time ago now. Yeah.
I was skimming past all N64 stuff back then because I was the biggest PlayStation fan ever. N64 was the enemy, man. I was like, the graphics are all right, but there's not many games.
Yeah, well, our girlfriend had a PS1 and we had an N64, so we had the best of both worlds. We were playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1.
Nice.
Grinding that on the demo disc before it'd come out, and Gran Turismo 1 with the Escudo and stuff like that. It was just so much fun.
Good stuff. That's it. That's what it's all about, eh?
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to ask next. What else? Yeah, Dennis, you got any?
Nothing comes to mind, Mike. It was I guess we were just talking about Barrow's sort of influences and his experiences in and what led him to arcade gaming growing up, which we've just gone through.
It was mostly Dad. He used to play Gallagher back in the day and Crazy Kong. But
Crazy Kong.
Yeah, you'll probably never be able to guess his favorite game of all time is Cross Roller / Make Tracks. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one.
No. I'm actually not.
It's I mean, I don't like it. It's sort of not a Pac-Man type game, but it's sort of a mazy. You paint the screen.
Oh,
yeah, it's interesting.
It's a little bit like Armada, isn't it?
Yeah, in a sense, yeah, probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he used to play those back in the day.
Nice.
Got pretty close to a crazy con kill screen, I believe.
Cool.
Didn't quite get there.
Wow.
Wow, man. That's awesome.
So what about arcades back in when you were like a kid and a teenager, Barrow? Did you get to any? Was there many arcades near where you lived, or arcade machines?
I remember them vaguely. There were a couple back down in Christchurch where we were, but we were really too young, honestly, and they were sort of on their way out. I do remember the odd cab here and there. Like we used to go and play 4-player The Simpsons.
Yeah.
You know, when I was really young, and don't really have too many other memories of it. There was, when we lived in Blenheim, there was I believe it was a Space Invaders cabinet, and at a sort of like a collectible type shop, they had it outside. And this is a pretty funny story. So we used to go there, me and my brother, we used to go there with Dad. And if you rolled the score, or if you got a certain score, they'd give you free basketball cards.
Whoa.
Sweet.
So I think it might have been 1 per 1,000. So if you rolled the score, you got 10, and that was the max. We've still got folders full of hundreds of them. And Dad eventually got banned from going there because we're basically taking this guy's basketball cards. I think I'm remembering the details of that, but he definitely got told to stop coming. And we've got all these basketball cards back here still. Cool. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. But I don't play Space Invaders here.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, no, other than that, yeah. So these days I'm purely arcade, really. I play the odd newer PC game, but not very often. It's just one of those things, like finding the time.
Yeah.
I do want to get back into the modern stuff, like get a PS5 eventually.
Yep.
I also want to get a few cabs, like get a Robotron in a pole position.
Nice.
But yeah, so we'll see what happens there.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So there you go, Dennis.
I was just going to say, yeah, getting cabs like those, it's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? Because they're very difficult to come by, especially sort of in our neck of the woods, mate. Around like Australia and New Zealand, we don't see them come up too often. That's actually why I ended up building my DK machine. Was just the fact
it seems
that
like a better option, honestly. I haven't really looked into it. They're just pipe dreams at this stage, but
yeah.
Hopefully one day something will either pop up or there'll be someone around that can either build one or source some parts or something.
Yeah, that's right. Either maybe Dave, or maybe if you just if you mention Phil a few times, that something like a Robotron cab might appear eventually. You never know your luck.
Yeah, I mean, they're making these multi-boards in it these days as well. So, I mean, even that would be an option. I'm not opposed to that sort of thing.
No, absolutely. Yeah, like I think Dave's cab that we played on at AAC was a Williams multi.
Yeah, exactly.
It played fantastic.
It did. Felt really nice.
Nice. All right. So, Barrow, when you walked into AAC at the Brewdog Brewery for the first time, how did you feel? What was it like when you saw all the big setup?
Oh, it was just amazing. It was just another step up from the Eka, really.
Yeah.
A huge venue. We could cater to a lot more people than we had. Obviously, a lot of guys couldn't make it. Guys and girls couldn't make it there. But seeing all the cabs lined up in the middle and the pinballs on each side, it's just awesome. Can't describe it really, to be honest with you.
It's difficult, isn't it?
It's overwhelming when you get there, really.
For sure,
you just want to play everything.
Yeah, it's a nice atmosphere as well. I think that you go in there and you can really just sort of say hello, bump into sort of anybody and have a chat and go and grab a beer, because we had our own little bar out there, which was awesome, amazing.
It's the venue dangerous. Itself, absolutely fantastic. And I really hope we get to do another event there.
I agree. I think,
as I say, we can definitely cater to a lot more people in that space.
Yeah, awesome venue, and shout out to Brewdog as well for being fantastic host to us for the entirety of the BPAC event too.
That's it. It was a massive event, and it was Brewdog had to accommodate us. How many weeks before? And is there still stuff there now, John? Like, and Dennis, have you been back recently? Yeah.
There's pins still in there, man. Like, there was meant to be a comp that was going on, but of course, lockdown so we can't.
Ah,
Not really any events during lockdown. So yeah, I believe that all the machines have had to stay there.
fair enough.
So yeah,
Yeah, there's supposed to be an event this weekend and next weekend. So yeah, fingers crossed. Maybe next weekend's might get to go ahead, but
Yep.
unfortunately, luckily lockdown happened after BPAC. We were extremely fortunate in
I
hindsight to have
know.
actually
Oh,
gotten
man.
the whole 10 days done.
Yeah, I think the arcade gods were pretty kind to us. We missed out on BPAC last year. We missed out on Death by Arcade and a few other really excellent events, and we were lucky enough to allow Kong Off and BPAC and the Brisbane Pinball Masters and all the other associated events to go through almost without a hitch. Obviously, there are a couple of states that weren't able to make it, which was a shame, but we were lucky to have been able to even allow that to happen, in all honesty.
For sure.
It's been difficult circumstances. It's such a minefield at the moment with those sorts of things. So no, it was a great experience and great to see everybody again. It was really, I know personally I got a lot out of that. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, that's it. I was thinking the same thing just this morning. After we were talking about it with Ree, like we're just lucky that lockdown did not happen during that 10 days. I mean, even leading up, or even they're still closing out now there, but it's just stuck in lockdown now. But we got to be there, got to experience it, got to run through every event without a hitch. It was
absolutely. If you look at it as a trade-off like that, then it's a small price to pay, really, for us to be able to go and do that. So I'm much rather do this now than what we imagining getting to right at the end and then having to send everybody home, or that the event just couldn't proceed. Oh, I would have been devastated. And I can, from that perspective, I can imagine how our friends all interstate feel when that occurred, and New South Wales weren't able to make it, and also Victoria at the last minute as well. In the first week of BPAC. Guys are
pretty lucky to make it through since they came the day before. So.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
exactly. Unfortunately, Matt was able to make it, so we had the king there. Hey, Matt,
the king was there.
Listening. Yep, it was good to have him there, and also Phil as well, which was fantastic. So our host extraordinaire did well for us over the Kong Off, but obviously we'll cover that in a different episode.
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike. That's. Sorry to digress if I did. But...
That's all good. So for everyone in the podcast right now, was there any machines that were there that you was really surprised to see, that you may have heard of in the past and not seen in person, or I don't know, any odd machines you're like, oh, what is this sort of thing? I don't like games you knew you didn't like that were going to be in the comp.
Double Dragon wasn't popular.
Do we need to explain why, or are people going to assume that?
No. I'm pretty sure I know, really. Yeah.
I think the best ones for me were definitely Marble Madness and Hang On, and Robotron. I guess I played the heck out of those. Just because of the unique controls that I'd never really. I had played a Robotron before, but yeah, I mean it's always fun to play that game.
Yeah. What about you, Pete? We saw you destroy Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which is generally one of the hardest arcade games of the 90s. But yeah,
I think the game sort of surprised me was Soul Calibur. I've heard of the game, but never really seen it. Yeah. And I tried to get it going up on my main setup, but it was just all came out pixelated. So,
yeah.
It was good to see it in person. Just had to have a go, and it was pretty clunky to play. With those sort of 3D fighters, there's all like button mashing, button combinations.
Yeah.
But it worked well. Look, I think I just found a rhythm with the guy with the big axe and just swung away.
Nice. How about yourself, Dennis? Outside of Double Dragon, did you enjoy the other games there?
I didn't enjoy Double Dragon.
No, you didn't.
No, I actually, we talked about DDP a little bit before, man. Dodonpachi was really a fantastic game to play, and I'm not really much of a shmups guy. I don't really think I've got the reaction time to be able to, or the ability to be able to dodge those insane bullet patterns that that you seem to get, even on the first level. It's just, yeah, it's insane for me. But I really enjoyed the game despite that, and I got to play Shien Ryu as well, and yeah, I think that I'm going to be playing that a lot more as well over the course of the next year, because it's a really fun game, and I think it's deceptive because it does look similar to a lot of shmups that you play or that you'd see from around that era, but the game dynamic is the mechanics are a little different. And it's fun to play, and yeah, I just felt like it was a nice sort of easy game to get in and play. Obviously, the game itself is a bit hard, but it was an easy game to pick up, and yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot as well. It was the first time I played it actually at AAC.
Yeah.
Played a couple of credits. It's just a fun shmup, no complicated scoring systems. Just get in there, collect some power ups, throw some bombs out.
Yeah, away you go.
Dodge some bullets, and mash the button as fast as you can.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and don't die.
Don't die. Yeah, that's number one strat right there.
That's it, exactly, man. Yeah, and I think as well, I actually hadn't played Zero Wing until BPAC either, and quite different to the other ones. Side-scrolling, obviously, and pretty fun. Like, it took a couple of games to figure out like what power-ups to get and what I was more comfortable playing. But once I did, then I got a pretty respectable score on that compared to what everybody else was putting up, and it was fun. Yeah, all of the fighters, I did rubbish at Barrow. I just couldn't. Yeah, I just couldn't get it to work for me. And Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo is just insane. And I I think I gave that a few credits during our qualifiers, because in our format we had 40 credits, was it, John, to go and play through?
Yeah, 40.
Yeah, I'd say easy, about 15 of those went into Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I was like, I can do better. I can get a better score on this game. And I just gave up and walked away in disgust. It's just too hard. And I don't know, the classic games I really enjoyed. I only got to have a few games of each. It was pretty busy, so I'd love to play them more too, mate. But yeah, overall, as I mentioned before, I was pretty happy with the mix of games. Like, I can't actually think of a game that I went and played and I was like, I didn't really enjoy that. Well, apart from Sega Tetris, which I honestly don't really like that, because I find that the drop pattern in Sega Tetris, like we were talking about before, like the blocks that you keep getting are just, yeah, it makes it very difficult. You can only rotate one way. You can't actually rotate. Yeah. So you can only rotate in one direction, and then the game mechanic of all the blocks sort of speeding up it, because you've got those other things sort of against you as well, makes it a difficult game to play compared to like NES Tetris, which obviously a lot of people probably used to playing that, and Game Boy Tetris too. So yeah, apart from that, everything else was great.
Even Jungle Hunt or Jungle King, sorry.
Yeah, Jungle King was fun.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah. I didn't mind it. Like, I know it's kind of a polarizing game, isn't it? Really, like you go, oh, I actually enjoyed that, or I never want to play that game again. So
yeah.
I think I only put one credit into that. Maybe didn't really make the time for it.
Yeah,
don't have an opinion, but
it was fun. I only played it either once or twice as well. Like, I didn't. I wasn't able to go back to it. I think it was mainly because it was either Steve or Ben were playing it quite a lot, and I was like, oh, I'll go back for a game. Nope, someone's playing it. So
I think Johnny sunk quite a few credits into that one.
Yeah. So yeah, it's but it was popular, and I think for good reason. I thought it was fun. But maybe I get a chance to play it again sort of in the next 12 months or so. Pick it up on MAME or whatever and give it a crack. Yeah. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Well, as tournament organizer, there weren't any games that surprised me going up. If there was, I'd be a bit worried. But it's quite interesting hearing all of your answers because for me, that's sort of what it's all about. Is sort of being able to put in games that a lot of people might not have seen before, and particularly ones that would like elicit a strong reaction either way. Like, Jungle King was, I reckon, the most divisive game. You have people either loved it or they hated it. There weren't too many people in between. It's a game I put in there because I quite enjoy it. Anyone who knows me and my arcade taste, I love all of those really early Taito games with the really garish color palettes and really janky control games. Like, I just love them.
Love it.
So put that one in. That was a good one. Obviously, wanted to put in all those ones with the unique control panels that people don't usually get a chance to play. And Soul Calibur was actually a big one that I really wanted to get a board in. So I was really stoked that I was able to get one sent up from Sydney to have in the comp. I'd never played it on an original arcade cabinet, so that was a really nice little treat being able to actually play it. But yeah, so and that's sort of obviously going to be the goal next year, is to find some more games that there are already some games that I've never even played before that are in the talking points of games that Dave should have ready to go in 12 months' time. So there'll be some really exciting games, I think, in the future that people once again have never played of or even heard of before. Hopefully, it all depends as well as what shows up at venues like One Up and Netherworld. All these arcades are adding new games to the lineup every couple of weeks, every month or so. So the games that will be available to choose from in 12 months' time will be quite different. There'll be games there that I'll be considering that haven't even crossed my mind yet. So very excited to see what the future holds, and hopefully be able to find some new games for everyone to enjoy or loathe, like Sega Tetris.
Yeah. No, as are we as well. I think it's always like, I think one thing that is clever about the format is it is divisive because, like there are people that sort of only want to play certain specific genres, but that's a format for AAC isn't particularly for them. But what is good about it is that if you go in and throw in a few credits in any given sort of particular game, gives you the chance to experience a new game that you've never played before, or maybe a game that you haven't seen as a dedicated arcade cab before that you might have played on MAME or whatever. And I really think that that's a bit of an underrated experience for something like AAC, and it's a really big selling point for it because you get the opportunity to play these games you wouldn't normally get to play, and I think that that's a really great thing, and I hope that continues. Sorry about that. He was in a hurry. Yeah. So yeah, mate. I think that it was quite cool to have all those different games to play and choose from. I think the only one that I actually didn't play was actually no, the King of Dragons. I think we did play that in AAC, didn't we?
Yeah, we played in the 2-player.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't last very long in the game, but yeah, very similar to Magic Sword. Actually, I remember now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, so that board. It's a bootleg, but it's my bootleg. That's another one I was quite excited to have in there, and I only played it a couple of times that weekend, to be honest. But there's another one I was quite excited to hear a lot of people discovering it for the first time. Like, it's a Capcom arcade game, but it's one of the lesser known ones. But for me, it's just a really fun and accessible side-scrolling beat 'em up. It's not too hard to learn. It's got like a high fantasy theme. The graphics look really nice. It's just an enjoyable game to play. But the sound effects eventually wear thin. There's one particular sound effect that whenever you get power, it's like, it's like something out of He-Man. I have the power sort of thing. And the character even does that. He puts up his sword, and there's like a big flash of light as they get the power up, and that happens a lot.
I did happen to notice that the King of Dragons actually got turned off because it was near the table where Barb's was working, and so it may have been that it got a bit too much at one point. So yeah, I think that what you said just then holds pretty true, man. But still a fun game overall.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely not a fan of beat 'em ups at all. But when I got to have a go at King of the Dragons, I actually enjoyed it, which is I like the game style where like X-Men or Turtles or Simpsons is very cheap gameplay where you're definitely going to get hit by something you have no idea that's coming. Something's going to flash on the screen and take your health away.
Yep.
But like with that game, it was just such a nice float, like a nice roll into that type of gameplay, and it was fair.
It's a great game if you get a chance to just pump credits into and play all the way through, because unlike a lot of those games that might have had like 6 or so really long stages, that game actually just has a lot of really short stages. I think there's like 15 or something like that stages in the game, but a lot of them are really short. So it means that like the backgrounds and the environments and the enemies that you're facing change quite a bit, which makes it a little bit more refreshing than other games. And you've got that sort of almost like a D&D kind of Dungeons and Dragons sort of element to it, where your characters are leveling up and you're traveling to all these locations on a map. So it sort of feels like you're going on a real fantasy adventure. It's just a nice game. So if you ever get a chance to play through it on MAME, or I discovered it on the Nintendo Switch on the there's a Capcom Arcade Classics collection. There's actually a couple. There's the beat 'em up collection, which had 7 beat 'em ups on it, including King of the Dragons, and that's how I discovered it. And then there's another Capcom Arcade Classics collection that also has a bunch of Capcom arcade games that I definitely recommend checking out if you're into those sorts of games.
Cool.
Yeah, John, I'm just looking at my Capcom Classics Collection Volume 2 on PlayStation 2. Yeah, it's got King of Dragons on it.
Hey, game on.
Nice. So it's also on that. It's probably this. I think they have original Xbox will have the same port as well.
Nice.
Capcom Classics Collection.
Excellent.
All right. So talking about AAC comps, did any of you have like a standout moment or a specific battle where you were going against someone that you weren't sure which way it was going to go, and you were worried about the game, or you were just having a hard battle back and forward, game for game, with who you were against?
No, I got knocked out pretty early, so I didn't really have much to add from that. It was, I think, there were. I watched some pretty cool matchups, but not so much from my side of things, unfortunately, mate.
Fair enough. What about yourself, Pete?
Yeah, look, I think in a lot of the comps that I do play, I seem to get paired up a lot with John McIntyre. And it's always great games with him because there's always a bit of chatter and a bit of banter when we are playing.
Yep.
So, I really enjoy playing with John. Even though I come out on top a lot of the times, but, we give each other a bit of banter when we do play.
Oh, you got to.
That's good fun.
Good stuff. What about you, John? Oh, John, you there?
Oh, yep. So, for me, I think it was actually every time I got paired up against Peter. The So the last couple of fighter game comps we've had, there's a Street Fighter comp earlier in the year at Netherworld. It was also a double elimination knockout, and I got beaten by Peter twice in that comp.
Oh.
And then at Ultimate Punch at BPAC, I got beaten by Peter twice.
Oh.
And going by that track record, I was sweating quite profusely when I got paired up against him in the semi-finals of the Australian Arcade Champs. And I was actually quite impressed with myself that I put up more of a fight than I was expecting to. I did all right on Altered Beast, but Peter got me there. I picked Frogger because I was pretty confident that Peter had never played it before. And then Metal Slug, that one was really tight.
Yeah, it was.
Metal Slug 5 is the only one of the series I don't really know well, and so that was the best I'd ever played on that. I made it past the first boss, and then I sort of walked away just expecting Peter to smash me on that one based on the qualifying games the day before, and I think it's just one of those things. It's one of those games that can go either way for you if you just have a bit of bad luck and you cop a couple of random deaths, and I was, a little bit fortunate that happened, and I managed to make it through, and which is almost more of a punishment in itself because then I had to play Barrow, and I was looking forward to even worse. And then, it came. Same thing happened to me. I picked Shenryu against Barrow, and not realizing that Barrow had, even though he'd never played it much before, he'd just wing it and put up a really good score for me to chase. And that kind of pressure just weighed on me. And I had a couple of early deaths, which then meant I recovered well, but I didn't have the time to beat his score in the end. And Barrow got a clean sweep against me in the final, which was a little bit frustrating, but I was still, once again, happy with how I played across all of those games, but just got beaten by the best.
Yeah, that was definitely probably the moment of the tournament for me anyways, lasting that 10 minutes on Shenryu. It was a great game, a lot of fun, but pretty lucky to get through that. I think if I'd have lost that, I'm not too sure what John's second pick was, but it might have been DDP.
DDP.
Yeah, you would have beaten me on that, I'd imagine. And then Miss Pack is the last game. It could have gone either way as well. So,
yeah, watching you guys go head to head in Shenryu was the atmosphere was pretty tense. Honestly, like watching it, it was really exciting, man. Because both of you guys put up like a really good fight, and I just didn't know what to expect.
10 minutes.
Yeah, and in the end, I believe if memory serves right, it was only a few seconds that might have separated it because I think Barrow managed to get through the second level boss,
third
boss, and John was just about to. I think you were fighting the third boss, but didn't quite kill it.
So even if I had beaten that boss, the end of level bonus wouldn't have got me the score. But so what happened was just before the boss, I accidentally picked up the wrong power up, and the yellow power up. Not only does it take about twice as long to beat that third boss as if you have the lightning, but the lightning actually gets you more points as well because it's a game that scores per hit. And so the lightning is doing a lot more little hits constantly. And so throughout I think there's it would have been close to about 500,000 points difference in the end between Barrow and I. And I've actually gone back and watched some video of that third boss, and there is about 500,000 points if you had the lightning. So there's that mistake on my end that, it still would have been either way. It would have been extremely close had I had the correct power up. But once again, it's just a couple of early deaths on my end. And it's a game that, too, it's a little bit odd that when you die, there's a checkpoint system. So if you die on a boss, you just immediately respawn. But if you die at another point of the level, depending on where you are, you might actually have to replay through a decent chunk of the level if you get sent back to a checkpoint.
Oh, really?
And so dying in that game it can actually lose you about 10, 20 seconds of progress. And I think that happened to me as well during that game, just losing a couple of lives on the first level.
geez. Yeah, there wasn't from what I was watching, there didn't seem to be a terrible lot in it. But when you explain it like that I didn't actually realise that you had the wrong pickup on the lead up to the boss. So, geez, it's amazing that can be the difference between remaining competitive in there and running out of time, beating the boss, and having, it was basically the timer that beat you in the end, which is, man, yeah, wow,
Brutal.
That's the comp.
Yeah.
That is fun.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, yeah. Was there anything else anyone wanted to bring up and talk about, or any other memories, or aspects of the trip, the time, BPAC, AAC?
Nothing from me really. It's getting late over here, so I better head off soon. But
Yeah.
no, I
Fair
mean,
enough.
all around it was a fantastic event.
Mm.
No complaints really at all.
Yeah. The beer was awesome. I remember
Yeah,
the beer
that
being
too. We had our own bar, so what can you complain about?
Yeah. Woof woof.
That's all right. Well, I think that about covers everything then. Good. Thanks for coming on, guys. It was a real good chat. Good recap of the whole lot of things.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good chat.
Thanks.
Cheers, guys.
All right. No worries.
All right. I think we'll call that a night. I think that's a wrap, guys. Cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Hey guys, Sean here. Thanks to everyone who tunes into the Play It Up podcast. We really love doing this podcast and really appreciate everyone who listens. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Play It Up Podcast. You can find the full video podcast on YouTube, and you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, Anchor, and more. If you want to ask us a question, you can do so on Anchor, and your question will be featured on the podcast. If you like what we do, please remember to like, review, comment, follow or subscribe, and please recommend us to your friends. Thanks guys.